Thank you for auditing the always positive new music review show hosted by a French professor who's... what's going on with me? I'm on vacation. I'm in the city of Marseille, my favorite city in the world. And I'm going to be talking to you today about a band from Hungary. And I'm going to be talking to you about one of the best rock albums you've never heard, probably because it's from Hungary, and how it ties into what may be Kanye West's best ever sample in semi-celebration of the 10th anniversary of Yeezus. Now, why am I recording in Marseille and not in Hungary? I did a version of this video in Hungary, but my Airbnb didn't have air conditioning. I was in a rush because the cleaning person was there. It was our last day. It looked like this. My cool Airbnb before this person comes in. So no one wants to watch that original version. So here I am, about a week later, and I've had some more time to think about it. And part of this whole idea is, you've heard the New Slaves sample. You know, at the end of New Slaves, Kanye does the thing where he changes track and just adds this whole new sample, this whole new part that comes out of nowhere. And there's this weird singing in the background, and you're like, da na 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 na. Na, 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 and it's like super epic. And I can't lose, no, I can't lose. That whole thing at the very end of New Slaves, it's this amazing change, this amazing shift. But the more that you may hear my baby in the background, which is awesome, right? That's, she's like my producer. Yeah. It's this amazing shift and this amazing sound, but really, Kanye doesn't do much. Like, he actually just takes the song and just gives it to us and then adds his own little thing on top of it. He just presses play, actually, on the song, and it plays out. And as it plays out, he sings over it. It's actually closer to Puff Daddy than it is to Kanye West as we imagine him. So I'm getting ready to go to Hungary, beautiful city. I'm actually, at the end of this video, I'm going to do a little video tour of Hungary, show you some of my pictures, why you should go to Budapest, an amazing place. And what I like to do before I go to any country is I just look up, on the internet, best Hungarian rock bands, best Hungarian rap bands, just to see, maybe there's some diamond in the rough, or maybe there's some very well-established band that's loved by hundreds of millions of people that dumb Americans have never heard of. And like number one was this band, Omega. And so I listened to their biggest hit, and I was like, oh my God, this is that sample. And so I just decided to listen to the entire album, 10,000 Lépés. No Lépés, I think maybe. No connection to 10,000 gecs. And let me tell you a couple things, okay? First of all, if this song is not in your repertoire of just songs that you know and have and love, then you just type "thank you, Professor Skye," because this song rules. Now, maybe Kanye already put you onto it. Maybe it's already on your playlists and your mixtapes, right? But oh my God, I mean, just from the sample in New Slaves, the build up on the toms, the absolutely exhilaration of that chorus. Da, na, 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 na. How it's very inventive, it's vaguely church-like with the organ, and there's this funky drum beat so far behind the beat. It's amazing. It's an amazing song. What you don't know from only hearing the snippet that Kanye included is that it has this great guitar solo with a sustained vibe, has this great sort of whisper and then screaming dynamics all the way throughout. You don't know just how nuts they go at the end. I mean, it seems to me that Kanye not only listened to this song and knew that the dynamics would work for what he was going to do with that song, but that he actually was sort of imitating the energy of this song from the 60s in Hungary. A quick side note, I may or may not do a full 10-year retrospective on Yeezus, but I'm still a little bit ambiguous about talking about Kanye on this platform. It's not great, so this is kind of a poison pill for you. It is a little bit about Kanye, but it's really actually about Omega and about this great music you've probably never heard. Just so you know, I looked up a translation to the lyrics. Hungarian is the hardest language. I mean, okay, I guess Estonian and Basque maybe are a little bit close, but Hungarian is I mean, a little bit harder, but Hungarian is just like not connected to anything. So if you go to like Russia or Serbia or other, like you'll like pick up something, but Hungary you just pick up nothing. Their language has nothing for you. So I found a translation, and it's an interesting lyric too, because it's the song title is "The Girl with the Pearly Hair," and so I was thinking, okay, it's just going to be a love song about somebody with like blonde hair, but it's not at all. It's this sort of almost science fiction-y. Once upon a time, the sun got tired, went to sleep on a deep green lake. People suffered from darkness, and she pitied us. She came to us. Yes, a pearl-haired girl came. Was it true or was I dreaming? The earth, the sky became green and blue again. Yes, a pearl-haired girl came. Was it true or was I dreaming? La 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 la. I can't lose. It's amazing. Did you see how I did that? It's this sort of like sad to happy. The whole song plays with that. Now the thing I didn't know, which apparently my baby upstairs knew, is that this song was a huge hit in Europe. There's a cover by a Yugoslavian band called Griva, which is a pretty good cover. The German rock band Scorpions, who you've probably heard of, did a reinterpretation where they wrote a song called White Dove. It's terrible. It's not a good version of the song, but the song is just absolutely this huge song that many people, I think especially maybe in Central Europe and Eastern Europe, they just know this song. So when Kanye sampled it, it was like, sampling I Want to Hold Your Hand. I was like, oh, whoa, cool. It's nice to hear this, but it was unknown. And just as a side note, this is a really fun experiment. Share with me anytime you've done this or that you do this. Hit me up on Instagram or something, or email my business message. Just say, hey, I went to Indonesia and I found this band and this is what I discovered. I might not do anything with it, but it's just a fun thing to do. It's a real way to travel as a humanist, because every single culture and country has all of this, basically the same kinds of cultural movements. They might not all be the same genres, but human beings do amazing things. It's more than just staring at old buildings. So yeah, what I ended up doing was I got this album. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about the rest of the album. I'm going to go a little quicker. First of all, check out how sweet that inside cover is with the red light and they're playing the bongos. Very, very 60s. Apparently, this band, after this album, or at some point after this album, got really big, and like the lead singer split off with the drummer, and they became a different band called Locomotive. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about Hungarian history and how it ties in with rock. But before I go to the rest of the album, I need to give you a second song, okay? So this is your homework. Okay, you know the original song. You know Young Yahajulani, right? The song that Kanye samples. What you don't know is any of the other songs. So I would go with the first track off side B, called Tek Olzo Fiuk, Prodigal Son. This has the humor and the epicness that really characterizes this album. The horns that start off sound like a little bit of a turn, and then it hits this kind of groove. And then he's just singing, and everything's totally fine, and everything's totally normal. And it's like organ and drums. And then at a certain point, the singer just starts going, wah, wah. It's like Wario. It's like you gotta just jam this track. You just gotta crank it up, way up, way up. That's how much you gotta crank up this song. Because at the end of this song, where there's just this like cool, funky rock jam, and the singer's just like opera Wario, just wah. I just gave you that image. If you like this video, by the way, please smash the like button, subscribe. If you want me to heart a message, include the words AVAA in it. That means awesome video as always. That's my little trick that I do here. I just love this track. I love this album. So the first track on the album, I'll go through the rest of it much quicker, is called Petroliu Lampa, which means petroleum lamp, and it's got like a George of the Jungle beat. Boom, 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 boom. Again, very playful. There's this kind of funny bit where he sings like a very, I don't know what it is or what it means, but it's a very funny and charming moment. The song Tuzifar, Firestorm, cool, funny crack singing, bashing cymbals, great guitar work. Neat kind of psychedelic horn with the drums, like just very messed up guitar. Next song, Udvare Bolon Canieri, the bread of the court jester. Very kind of medievally at times on this album. This almost sounds like a small Spanish ship, Herb Alpert sound, some great la-las in there, beautiful little drum fill, really great drummer on this album, great acoustic guitar solo. The calloused hands woodcutter is just a totally bizarre long-form jam with a recorder solo over bongos. Now, a recorder is usually kind of a folk instrument. Bongos is kind of an African instrument. Interesting mixture there. The drummer is just great. It's an indulgent, fun, good song. Next track is one I already discussed. That's the Opera Wario. Then the title track, Chaser Lépés. I don't know, tens of thousands of steps. Playing around with faders, hi-hats are like steps, low voices, and kind of a snare march and like a piano march. It feels very triumphant. This leads up to, one second, hey, Americans, dude, y'all can turn out. Dudes, ladies, NBs, you can tune out because I have a message for my European, especially my Central and Eastern European friends. Just give me a second. Europeans, knock it off with the 1950s sounding rock music, okay? I can't, how do I get you to stop making faux 50s and 60s, just 50s, do 60s, but like winking meta commentary, postmodern, garbage, bad 50s song like this song, the 1958 Boogie Woogie Club. It's very frustrating. I'm reviewing another Balašević album soon. He has like a couple of these songs, and it's just like just don't do it anymore. Gainsbourg did it well. Everyone else did it poorly. Next song is called Español Guitar Leyenda, Legend of the Spanish Guitar. It has some Spanish guitar as promised. Acoustic guitar and a clean voice. A nice break from that 50s song. Some strings are later. And then there's like these strings come on and they play this little melody. I'm telling you, this album's super good. Now, I get it, it's tough not to understand the lyrics, but there's so many great, they're great, right? She agrees. There's so many great like little instrumental bits and production details on this album, like the strings on here, that are just beautiful. The final track is called Interrupted Concert, which you think is going to be another fake 50s rock song, but then it becomes a great sort of hard pulsing rock thing. There's a great scat bit with a keyboard. So that's my review of the album, but how did I end up with it? Well, this is another thing that I like to do when I go to a new country. I just try to find a record store. Because like there's some cities have great record stores. Some cities don't, Novi Sad in Serbia is a great college town. No record stores, at least not that I found. But there's a couple that I discovered, but I went to one called Wave Records in Budapest. And this is free advertisement for Wave Records in Budapest. It is one of the best record stores I've ever been to, and it is one of the smallest record stores I've ever been to. Like imagine going to usually you go to a big record store, and there's like nothing around that interests you. This was like a teeny tiny little store. It was filled with Guns N' Roses fans because they were playing a concert the next day. Okay, there was like 2 or 3, but 2 or 3 people fills up this entire space. I went there with my daughter, and you can't really move around. But then I look on the wall, and it's like every single album that I've reviewed this year is up on the wall. Like a couple albums that I've been waiting to come out on vinyl to buy with the money that Patreons give me, and I'm like, what is this? Is like a super well curated wall. And then there's a faded poster from Dave Thomas and 2 Pale Boys. This album that came out in like 99. Totally underground. I have a copy of it. It's one of my favorite albums of the 90s. I've never heard anyone talk about it ever. And it's sitting up there on the wall. I'm like, damn, this place is cool. And so, I'm looking around and I don't want to be a buster. I know that if anybody knows anything about Hungarian music, they know the song that Kanye sampled. I don't want to be that guy. But I had to be that guy. So I walk up and there's like a young woman there, and then there's like a dude. And I assume the dude owns it because, he's got sort of a charming older guy energy, kind of a gray beard, kind of a jolly looking guy. And I ask him, Omega? And he says in English, never heard of them. My daughter and I were like, damn, I really misread the internet. And he laughs and he comes over, and they had the complete collection of Omega. Absolute, every single album. He apparently likes, they had a space period. He apparently likes their space music more, which I listened to. And listen, hey, this is my promise. If I ever go back to Budapest, I'm going to make a video about the space album from Omega. And we had a little discussion about how Hungarian rock and roll existed under Soviet communism, because Hungary was severely oppressed by the Soviet Union. And the terms that he described, he said there were the 3 T's. He said that it was tolerated, I mean 3 T's in Hungarian, so they're going to be different letters now. Tolerated, supported, and forbidden. So at times it was tolerated, at times it was reinforced, and at times it was completely forbidden. So it's a very strange thing, because even if you look online and you try and find like the truth about intervention of the Soviets in Hungarian rock, and it's not very easy to figure out. It's actually like very mysterious. What he said was the issue happened when musicians started adding folk sounds, because in general, centralizing groups, centralizing forces don't like folk music, because that implies a sort of ethnic individuality apart from the greater unistate. So I guess that was it. I guess if it was kind of folky, I don't know, a lot of people left, a lot of people like they weren't like always able to perform. Sometimes they would just support performers who were, it's all a great big mess. And it makes it even more of a miracle that this thing was able to exist. I also told him I would buy any record in the store that he suggested. Absolutely any. Now this gave him a lot of pressure. I thought he was going to make me buy the Space album, and I would have listened to it. But what he did was he told me to get this. So if you're a Hungarian rock fan, maybe you think this was a good choice, maybe not. This is a soundtrack to an album called The Kangaroo. And I've never seen the movie, so I'm going to listen to this and watch the movie. Maybe I'll do a video on it. Who knows? Pretty cool. And then he told me that Omega is the Rolling Stones of Hungary, but that Lépés is a lot like the Beatles. So I got this, and the way that he sold this to me, sorry, terrible sound on my video here. You'd think, hey, Skye, you're already editing this. Why don't you edit this out? No dice, no such animal. It opens up like that. Look at that, right? Isn't that cool? So I now have 3 Hungarian rock albums. And I would have found them without Kanye, but hey, thanks to Kanye, I had a starting point. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just play you some music by 10,000 Lépés, and I'll just show you some photos. I'll show you photos of the Airbnb that we were staying at, that my wife found. It was in this old like ruined place. I'll show you a picture of the Ethnography Museum, which the Ethnography Museum in Budapest is one of the greatest museums in the world. Okay? Truly an amazing feat of humanity. Show you some pictures of our beautiful walks at night. If you ever go there, of course they're famous for the goulash, which is great. The thing I didn't know about was if you get their pike freshwater fish, they serve it with dill, and it is so good. It tastes so much better than I just made it sound right there. It's an amazing place to eat, an amazing place to travel, an amazing place to listen to music like this. There's the camera. Yeah, it's a good song. La la, you like that, baby? Yeah. Yeah, you know, maybe if you giggle over this and I talk, we don't get copyright strikes. Yeah, it's a good jam, huh? Yeah. That's not the music, that's the baby making the noise. Isn't that just the cutest thing in the whole world? Yeah.
crazy. Dude, go crazy sounds like Wario opera.
I want to give a shout out to Smerglin Dorjan, who turns out works at that record store and is going to be there on Friday. Maybe he's the reason, or she's the reason that there's all these awesome vinyl up there.